Yo, what's up, folks? It's another episode of NFC Southbound and Down. I'm glad to be here tonight with my boys. Another Wednesday night, 10 o'clock, where we're talking football, having fun, getting a little snarky in the process. Guys, are you ready to get this thing popping?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Hey, I'm the most excited one to be here. Good Lord.
Oh, no, I'm excited, baby. You know I'm excited. I'm just trying to contain myself.
Oh, all right. He's about to bubble over. All right, well, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves, and we'll start with the winner's circle. Yo, what's up, folks? It's another episode Somebody's got a window open, as usual, here tonight with my boys. Another Wednesday night.
Who got the thing open?
Somebody's got an extra window open in the process.
That would be Greg. Come on, Greg. Quit messing stuff up.
Come on, Greg. Every night.
Gotta close out.
Every night. Hey, I'm the most excited one to be here. Good Lord.
I'm excited, baby. You know I'm excited. I'm just trying to contain myself.
Oh, all right. All right, Greg. Somebody's got Greg, see if you got an extra window open somewhere. And we'll start with the winner's circle.
Well, we know it's you because there's a little green dot.
It's another episode of window open, as usual.
All right, man. If you don't close that out, I'm just gonna dip.
Yeah, what happened there?
You've got an extra window open somewhere where the Google Hangout is playing somewhere else. Greg. Every night. Gotta close out.
Who's got to close out?
I'm the most excited one to be here.
I'm excited, baby. You know I'm excited. I'm just trying to contain myself.
Everybody drop out. Oh, my goodness. Aaron. All right, well, welcome to Southbound and Down. It's your boy, the professor, here, trying to bring these cats alive. They just circling back and forth. So I guess I'll just carry this show on myself. So look, the NFC South is a trash heap. Right now, there's a lot of stories floating around, and unfortunately, most of them have to do with the New Orleans Saints. It looks like I got some fellas back. It's a struggle each and every week, guys. Each and every week. Aaron, say hello to everybody and give them a little insight into what just happened. I'm going to have to edit all that out. I'm going to be staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Hey, this time it wasn't me this time. It happened to me. I caused it last night.
I closed out because I was like, man, Greg's not gonna figure this out. So screw it. Like,
nah, I think that was the right move.
I want to see him not on the thing, and then we'll figure it out from there.
Yep. All right. Well, okay, Aaron, introduce yourself and say why you're here, who you're replacing, and we'll go ahead and give him a little love on the side.
Well, I'm Aaron Ford, a.k.a. Mel Mayock, kind of the draft guru here for Cat Chronicles, but I'm actually being called up off the practice squad to fill in for our freaking Puerto Rican boy, Joe Riolano, who, big shout out to the guy. He's got to get well. He's out there in the hospitals, but I'm in here trying to fill in for him.
You can handle it. I think you'll come off the practice squad just fine to the active roster. Scott, Chewbacca, hello.
What's up? Scott Carasik, Draft Falcons, also Bleacher Report, Atlanta Falcons page. Feel free to tweet me whenever you want. I'll be glad to help you out with any of your football questions. So,
particularly who should play a different position than they normally play. That's one of his expertise areas. All right, well, I guess we could jump in. I was going to get in and talk with Greg about some things, but right now he is out of the loop, and thank God, because the New Orleans Saints took the division lead this week when they put the stomping on the Carolina Panthers. He's back. He wants some action.
was hoping
Hello.
fingers down.
Yeah, the man, the myth, the repeat legend. What's up?
What up? I'm
All
not sure
right,
what
we're
happened.
back.
Who was that? I don't even know what happened. I mean, all I know, I kept hearing the repeating in this.
Hey,
And I was
man,
trying to figure out what that was.
weeks ago, dude, it happens to the best of us.
It
All
happens
right,
to the
well,
best
I
of us.
think we're okay now.
All right, we are better. We are back. What happened is somebody had, and that somebody, Scott knows who it is, had an extra window open where the Hangout was playing in another window, so it was feeding in double time. So,
Okay.
Greg, we're glad you closed that out. You can come on back. You can celebrate your victory. Tell us how high you are coming off the win and taking the division lead off the Panthers.
Well, actually, pretty excited. I mean, in fact, for a lot of reasons, it was a road win, of course. That was one thing, you know. So we got that kind of the road monkey a little bit off the bat. You know, second straight win, and then the fact that we did get a chance to be clear favorites in the division now. You know, so it turned out pretty well for us. I mean, I'm very happy about it. You know, don't get me wrong. I know that the Panthers kind of helped along, especially because the way Cam played in that game. I don't think he played as well as he could have.
I mean, not having a competent offensive line
Or receivers that can
entire
catch a damn.
offensive line sucks. A bit.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, I mean, I guess you could blame the GM on that one, right?
Well, I guess you can blame, the GM for not, keeping Jordan Gross or. I mean, there's only so much you can do with a center and a bunch of college free agents who suck.
Yeah.
Like Nate Chandler and Fernando Velazquez and Andrew Norwood and David, whatever his name is. Yeah, he was a first-round pick in Canada.
Well, that tells you a lot right there.
It doesn't seem too hard with seeing how he played against a mediocre Saints pass rush.
Yeah.
Like, Junior Galette ate him for lunch. Yeah, Cameron Jordan ate him for lunch. But, like, the fourth stringer was also eating him for lunch. Who was it, Manny Lawson?
NC State.
He made is it Junior Galette? I don't know his first name. Galette.
Yeah, but Galette, I mean, had 12 sacks last year. I mean, Galette is not like.
Yeah, but he made him.
I'm saying that Paris Harrelson shouldn't be destroying your left tackle.
Well, no, Harrison, no, not as a pass rusher, no. Harrison just kind of a more of an edge. He sets the edge with the run and that type of stuff. He's definitely stacking anybody.
That's what I'm saying. And Cameron Jordan's just a freak. Like, if Cameron Jordan had better talent around him, he would easily be the same kind of J.J. Watt type force.
Yeah.
He's trying to cover for everybody around him.
I mean,
well, let me turn this over to Aaron. I want to ask Aaron on this. Did the Saints win that game or did the Panthers lose it?
Well, I'm never really big on claiming that we lost it and taking credit away from the other team. I mean, they had to go out there, strap it on, and they were the better team, no doubt about it. Now, was that our best football? Not even close. Not even close. And Scott hit the nail on the head, man. When you got 4 undrafted rookie free agents starting on your offensive line, it's going to be a long day. And Cam wasn't comfortable at all. So, no, it wasn't our best game, but hats off to the Saints, man. They were better than we were. They took it to us.
Yeah, but you also got to look at it, too, the fact that, I mean, a lot of it, too, Cam was a lot of overthrows in that game. He threw the ball. I mean, he was throwing that ball like he had everybody there was a 7-footer. I mean, so, I mean,
what he does,
that's not the Saints' fault there. That's him. That's him right there.
Well, he's not comfortable, and he's not setting his feet, and that's what happens.
Yeah. I mean, but I still think overall the Saints' defense played pretty solid that game. Overall, it's not as whether the Panthers, despite what the Panthers could or could not do, overall they played a fairly solid game.
Yeah, I think that it's certainly. I don't think it was the Saints' best game by any means. The offense made a few mistakes. The defense, the Carolina Panthers defense, showed some promise throughout the game. It looked like we were really, in there for a moment. We had some timely turnovers early, and
But there was
that we're
some
going to
weird
keep.
turnovers too. I mean, when you're talking about he throws the ball to Steals and the ball pops up in the air and goes into a defensive lineman, that's not the Panthers defense necessarily picking him off.
You're
That was
right.
that was just a freak throw that just went up in the air, and likely 9 to 10 is going to be more defensive linemen around that receiver than offensive guy. So the chances are our defense guy is going to get that anyway. You know what I mean?
Certainly.
And then even the fact that Drew Brees' own fullback knocks the ball out of his hand before he gets to throw it in the other turnover, and you have to kind of give it to the Saints defense to be able to shut them out and keep them from scoring on those two scores.
Yeah, that fumble though was caused by pressure. Even though the fullback caused it, it was pressure. I think the Carolina Panthers defense, kind of showed up early in that game, except for that there's no way that you can win when you're on the field the whole time playing Drew Brees and you keep letting him have opportunity after opportunity. But I want to go back to Scott on this, and I don't know. Well, I'm sure you remember, Scott. You were very critical of the Carolina Panthers offensive line prior to the season, specifically with Byron Bell and Nate Chandler.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to say that you were right all the way on that.
Yeah, because they're garbage. They should not be in the NFL as starters. A sixth offensive line type guy, the edge guy who's like that, when you have 6 offensive linemen on the field, he's the guy that comes in. Great fits. They'll do great there. Nate Chandler should be playing defense, not offense. Let's be honest here. Nate Chandler's a defensive tackle through and through. He has no business suiting up and playing right tackle.
Right. Aaron, how do you feel about that? Because I think, and this is where Scott likes to, he can see when players are being misused by coaches. And I would say that he's gone a little bit further than I expected when he said that Nate Chandler should be a defensive tackle because he wasn't that good there. But what do you think about that? Is there a possibility that not only Byron Bell and Nate Chandler aren't starters, which I don't think they're starters on any other team in the NFL, but is there potential that they're playing the wrong position?
Well, if you look at the numbers, Nate Chandler was a pretty daggone good guard last year. He took over for right guard, and our running statistics went way up after he took over at right guard. He has no business playing tackle.
Except that his pass blocking as a guard was still garbage. Nate Chandler doesn't understand basic pass blocking, which in today's NFL, when you're dropping back to throw the ball 45 times a game, makes you useless.
The Panthers don't do that. Well, the Panthers definitely don't do that. And you know what? He was asked to play guard out of necessity.
3 technique, defensive tackle, rotating in as the 4th defensive tackle in that rotation. That's his fit. That's where he played at UCLA his junior year. He played as a starting 3 technique his senior year at UCLA. That's where I saw him. When I was scouting these guys coming out of college, that's where I saw this guy as his best possible fit, and I said he'd be lucky to make a roster. So I'm not saying he's good. I'm just saying he's not anywhere close to where he should be, and he definitely shouldn't be playing offensive tackle. His footwork is atrocious. His hand usage is probably the worst I've seen. The only thing that comes out is that he's a good...
Beat like a drum all season long. Aaron, how much of this goat falls on Dave Gettleman?
Most all of it. I mean, he's the one that bought the groceries, as Bill Parcells used to say.
Right.
How much of it still falls on Marty Herney for the Panthers having a garbage cap situation for Gettleman?
That's very true. Gettleman's trying to dig out of the cap hill that was left him, but we are $11 million under the cap right now. You can't tell me we could have loaded
Jonathan Scott would be in prison for you. That's what I'm saying. That's the kind of caliber guys that are out there right now. So you can get these guys, but you're just lateral moves at best.
Well, I hate to hear that. It sounds like Gene's trying to bust into the hangout. I hear that buzzing noise again. But all right, let's go back to the Saints. Let's go back to the Saints and talk about this. How good is it? You're, and I'm gonna screw up his name, but it's not hard. I'm gonna say Keenan
Lewis, yeah.
Lewis. I almost said Keenan Allen. Thank you. How good is Keenan Lewis? I read a piece today. Now, albeit it was from a New Orleans perspective, that he is a kind of premier corner in the league. How do you feel about that?
Me, I would say, okay, he's definitely a good. I think he's a good corner. I don't know if I call him shutdown, but I mean I think he's pretty good, and I think I don't know how close in the upper echelon he is.
Top 10.
But I think he's a little underrated too. I do think he's a little underrated compared
top
to
10 corner in today's NFL.
Huh?
He's a top 10 corner in today's NFL.
Yeah. I will give you. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if he's up there with the people say the Richard Shermans or some of those guys, but I think he's definitely very good, and he's not talked about nearly as much as he probably should be with some of those top corners, in my opinion.
Does that help him?
In a way, it probably does. You know, because they don't come in worried about him.
Hold on. Because that's not how football works, and you know it. That's not how football works. You know who's good when you watch the film.
Well, sure you do. Absolutely.
I've talked to corners around the league, and they go, man, Keenan Lewis, Desmond Trufant, Vontae Davis, Brent Grimes. These are the underrated guys out there who are really some of the best.
Yep.
You know, these are the guys that are, top 10 corners that don't get talked about all the time.
No, they don't, because the most time they talk about Sherman, they talk about Patrick Peterson, they talk about, some of those guys, Darrell Revis. But they're
good. They're really good.
Hold on, let me get in here. I wanna say something to that, because maybe it does help, and the fact is maybe it doesn't help necessarily. It's not that coordinators and teams are not preparing for him. Of course, they understand what kind of talent probably they're dealing with, but what we're talking about here is that when you don't have the publicity surrounding you in the media, maybe what that lets you do is play football rather with the expectation of every moment you got to make some kind of big play.
Right.
Maybe that takes some pressure off.
I think it does a little bit.
Speaking of backs, Anton Casone, because I don't want to say his name right, is Pro Football Focus's worst-rated coverage corner in the entire NFL.
Hey, Scott, who did Pro Football Focus say was the worst tackle in the NFL?
You mean the rookie?
Yes, the one guy though, but I would point out this.
The rookie. And
the guy that you said was the game changer. The guy that was the difference maker for the Atlanta Falcons, that rookie is also the worst. And by the way, we got some action on
3 bad games with an injured ankle.
Well, hey.
Okay.
That's what's been going on.
Okay.
His ankle's been playing through the past 4 weeks.
I'm sure
Kayson's got an injured skill set.
Let's put it this way: he didn't have an injury history in college, so hopefully it's not something.
Morgan, man. Neither did Dan Morgan.
All I know is John Asamoah and Justin Blaylock have been exactly what I thought they'd be.
And Morgan couldn't stay healthy once he got hurt.
Right.
Okay, our boy Straight Facts is hitting us up on Twitter. He said this. He said Lewis is top 15 corner, he said. And he also wants to know...
Who's the 14 in front of him? Who's the 14 in front of him? Because he knows top 15. Top 10 I'd give him, but he definitely not top 15. That's too low.
Better.
That's too low.
All right.
I'd say he's top 10. He's a
I
player.
can tell you one thing is that there isn't a corner on the Carolina Panthers that's in the top 15.
I would take
Yeah,
Lewis.
I mean, who's the last one that shut down Kevin Benjamin like that? Name the corner y'all played so far this year.
Yeah.
Not a single
All
one.
right, actually, let's talk about that for a second. Greg, how was he able to do that? I'm going to ask Greg first, and then I'm going to turn it over to Aaron on that. How was he able to be so disruptive against such a large man?
Hey, I mean, I think it's just with him. He pretty much stayed on him. He didn't play off of him. He was right there with him and just in his hip pocket. So that ball come to him, he was there to try to either knock it away or disrupt it or get in the way. I think Benjamin caught one pass, 2 passes in the whole game. I think, you know, he pretty much was right there on him, and that was the whole key. He didn't play off of him. He definitely didn't play scared. He played, you know, he didn't care about him being 6'6". He just went at him, and that worked out for him. You know,
Aaron,
that's what I saw. That's what I saw.
Aaron, what did you see in that game that made him so effective against Kelvin Benjamin?
Well, I don't want to take anything away from him because he is, I'd say he's definitely top 10, maybe top 7 or 8, right? And he's better than any corner that we got on the Panthers. But I think a understated part of why he was so effective against Benjamin was going back to the offensive line. We had to take our only other legitimate wide receiving threat and leave him in the backfield to block, and that's Greg Olsen. So from a scheme-wise, you put your best guy over there. You don't worry about him providing any other help anywhere else, no other responsibilities. And Cam didn't have a whole lot of time, so he didn't have to cover for quite as long. I think it all came together that way.
I think I read that Lewis, one of the things is that while he does have a good skill set, like a top-tier skill set when it comes to corner, that he plays a solid technique and that he's always in good position. His hips are always pointing the right direction. Another thing that I saw, though, is that he did not, when you said that he was in his hip pocket and they played him, you weren't kidding. I mean, he was on Kelvin Benjamin the whole entire game. The entire game, he just followed Benjamin around the field, and I think he was responsible. They went to Kelvin Benjamin 18 times in that game, and eight of those 18 times. Now, obviously, a lot of those were some of those were poor throws. Yep. Some of those were some drop balls. But Kelvin Benjamin only came away with 2 catches out of those 18 looks, and 8 of those were defended passes. I mean, maybe not where you get credit for a pass defended, but where he was responsible for breaking it up or stopping that play. So you got to give credit to him.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Carolina Panthers, and this is what T-Money is saying on Twitter right now, is that it was a combination of Lewis's good coverage, Kelvin Benjamin drops, Cam Newton's accuracy. All of those helped the Saints. So let me ask you this, and we'll move on from.
Hold on, let me ask you something about that whole situation. When you talk about the whole accuracy thing, you got to think about it like this. I mean, what Cam was supposed to be able to throw back shoulder throws or throw the guy open too, right? If the guy's on him, because I mean, Drew Brees had players covered and threw back shoulder throws or whatever that only they could catch. And the guy was sitting right there in his hip pocket. So
and Matt Ryan can do the same thing.
Huh?
Matt Ryan can do the same thing. Now Tampa Bay lost
so I mean, but
has no excuse there.
Right. I can't give the accuracy issue an excuse. To me.
No, he's not saying it was an excuse. What he's saying is that Cam Newton was inaccurate in the game, and
he's dogging him for it. He's dogging him for it. Good. Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
And really, and it's true, is Cam Newton had a bad game. You know, I mean, he has progressed tremendously as a quarterback, and I think we're going to start seeing some of those things and that ability come to fruition. But I would like to say a couple of things on that, because I'm not going to let you guys just throw Cam Newton under the bus on that. Yes, is he to the level of being able to do those things that a Matt Ryan and a Drew Brees can do? No, not at all. But Drew Brees has been in the league forever, and Drew Brees was not that type of quarterback from day one. And Matt Ryan did come from a really pro type system, it felt like, with Boston College, to where he was coached to do those things. Cam Newton has had very little experience in that, and he has been able to be more of a physical phenom than necessarily having to be the greatest quarterback. And the Carolina Panthers have not done him any favors. They have not allowed him over the years with any pass protection. It's not that we didn't have pass protection last year. And all that bull crap about the Carolina Panthers line being okay, it really only came on towards the end. They were terrible last year too, not to this degree. So how do you learn to be a quarterback? How do you learn those nuances of the game when you have no time to develop?
Well, I still think with the passing, and personally, I think with the passing, as far as throwing back shoulder throws and things like that, you know, being able to throw a guy open, some of those things come in the mechanics that he had to work on through the year. Those things should be muscle memory anyway, whether he's under pressure or not, because you know what I mean. So if you got a guy on a guy, he should be on your receiver. You should be able to throw that ball, you know, pretty much fairly accurate, or at least throw your receiver open. But that's all the training and mechanics. That's whether the offensive line is healthy. I mean, you know, able to hold him or not. He should be able to get that ball out of there and have that, make that throw, to me. So I don't know if that, I can't blame his offensive line for him being inaccurate on those throws.
All right, Aaron, I'm going to go to you with that, and I'm going to ask you this question on the back end of that. Are you upset? Are you disappointed, should I say, with Cam Newton's development as a quarterback to this point in his career?
I think what I'm most disappointed in is he's inconsistent right now. I think you take the last 2 games out of play. The first 6 games, man, he was progressing great. I mean, he was one of the higher-rated quarterbacks every week. I mean, that Cincinnati game, he was an absolute monster, an absolute beast. But he's got to learn. He's got to be able to do it every week. I think part of the problem is he doesn't want to check down. He always wants to go on that deeper pattern, and he's getting killed. He can check it down a little bit more. Hey, a lot of things start opening up for him. He'll get there.
All right, Scott, I'm going to turn it to you with Matt Ryan, and then we'll move on from this subject entirely. T-Money hit us up again with this, and I think this is a good point. Did Matt Ryan come into a better situation with the Atlanta Falcons when he came into the league, which gave him an opportunity to develop a little bit better? For instance, Turner was a top 5 back. You had a strong offensive line. In that period when Matt Ryan came into the league, did that help his developmental process?
Let's put it this way. Going into 2008, Atlanta's offensive line looked like garbage. Because if I told you the names Todd Weiner, Justin Blaylock, Todd McClure, Harvey Dahl, and Tyson Clabo, you'd go, man, they've got one competent offensive lineman in that entire group, and it's Todd McClure.
Mm.
So going into that, you'd be like, well, that offensive line's kind of crappy, that the running back's unproven because it was before Michael Turner exploded.
Yep.
You know, they just got rid of Algie Crumpler, so there's no tight end safety valve.
Yep.
It's basically going to be Matt Ryan out there pitching it to Roddy White all day, is the way you would look at it. So,
but that's what you would have said before the season started, but that's not what you said last week.
But when you go in and you see how it works, and you saw what happened, Matt Ryan's a big reason why that offense was successful too, because he said, "Hey, let's run the ball. Hey, let's protect the passer. That I'm not ready yet to take the reins, so let's run the ball. Let's give it to Turner. Let's have these guys." And then Harvey Dahl and Tyson Clabo and Justin Blaylock all developed into very good offensive linemen very quickly. I'm going to put a lot of that on Todd McClure because he was a leader on that line. And Todd Weiner was just a solid to average left tackle. That was it. That was that offensive line. That was that entire offensive line. And then Michael Turner exploded and became Michael Turner that we all knew and loved, the one that destroyed and ate pretty much every team before he got actually into food like he did and gained about 30 pounds.
Man, that mug was always fat.
He was always fat.
No, he wasn't.
From 235 to 265
Yeah.
after the 2010 season.
Yeah.
So,
he wasn't. He wasn't when he first got there. No, he wasn't. even his days in San Diego, he was pretty much in good shape.
But he was a big
225.
boy. He wasn't no little fella.
But I wanted
But
to ask you about Matt Ryan. Remember, they came into that situation too. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say they came into that situation after the whole Michael Vick thing. So it was an attitude issue too, and all of that. So I mean, it's hard to say that he came into a better situation than Cam Newton, because Cam Newton did not have that such a thing hanging over his head.
That's not true. What was we were 2-14.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Cam Newton came into a 2-14 situation, had even less to work with than Matt Ryan. All Cam Newton had was like 4 different running backs and Jordan Gross.
That were all 30 almost.
Yeah, that's what Cam Newton.
Stewart was pretty young, but he's hurt.
Stewart was pretty young.
But he did have Jimmy Clausen as the backup.
I take that back. Cam Newton had a better number 1 than Roddy White to work with than Steve Smith.
Yeah, that's true.
Because no one.
Let's now
Cam didn't have to be a leader starting out because of Steve Smith. Matt Ryan had to be.
To temper that, though, is Steve Smith's career had been on the shelf for 2 years. I mean, people thought he was done before Cam Newton came in. So, I mean, Cam Newton had something to do with that resurgence.
Quarterback. You like you're a crappy receiver with Jimmy Clausen throwing it to you too.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, that will ruin your career, having Jimmy Clausen throw anything to you.
Yeah, I mean, shit.
All right, let's move on from Cam Newton, because I think this is that I don't know. I mean, maybe I'd say this is. Let me ask you, Scott. Are you disappointed? And I know when I say disappointed, I know you're going to be not disappointed that Cam Newton's not developing. But do you think that he's not developing quick enough?
Do I think it's because of Cam Newton, though, would be the question. I do. Okay. I think it's because Cam Newton, I don't know if he's putting in the time that he should.
That's what I worry about, too.
Because by now, if he was putting in the time that he should in the film room, on the field, working with his receivers, working with his offensive line on protections, you can tell that no one on that offensive line knows what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Outside of
Kim.
I don't think there's nothing Cam Newton can do about that.
Offensive linemen reflect on Cam Newton's work ethic.
Well, no, because you got to look at it like this. Okay,
all you guys around and be like, "Hey, protect my ass."
Yeah.
That doesn't make him good.
He wasn't playing 2 weeks ago either.
But here it goes. I mean, I would say like this, pretty much to what Scott is saying, as far as if you don't know if he's putting enough work in. No, we understand he's working, but I don't know if he's putting enough. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, they'll call your ass after practice and work on chemistry issues with the receivers and all that stuff, because they want to get that timing down. They want to make sure that stuff is right. That's why they're like highly regarded. And the same thing with him, he's got to work on those things like back shoulder throws and all throwing the guys open and stuff. He's got to put in the extra work to do that. And if they're not teaching him, he need to go to somebody who can teach him how to throw those balls like that and do those things. So
right, I gotta go ahead and say this, is that I'm gonna end this conversation on that because I disagree 100%, because Cam Newton is probably the hardest worker on our team. The other thing about that is that Cam Newton had a 70% completion rate prior to going into the last 3 weeks. When you're talking about Byron Bell, the worst tackle in the NFL, he might not be statistically, but 3 weeks ago. Yeah, the second worst tackle in the NFL. He was, before his injury.
I hope Jake Matthews destroys Byron Bell.
Oh, I agree with that. I do agree with that. But and prior to 3 weeks ago, Byron Bell was statistically the worst tackle. So here, Cam Newton, what he is you guys are comparing him to people that are having some of the most storied careers in the NFL. And to ask Cam Newton to pull David Foucault off to the side and explain coverage to him does not make the dude better. And then on top of that, our receivers, other than Kelvin Benjamin,
just don't fucking let the guy hit me from behind while I'm throwing the ball.
And it doesn't matter if he sucks.
That ain't gonna change it, man.
Yeah. I disagree with all of that. I agree. I would agree that if I would agree with you guys if you said you were disappointed with his development. but I just disagree with that rationale behind that. So
I
let's
think
move on.
I think the only one he can blame is himself for that, though.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about some of the accuracy issues, that's on him, regardless.
Accuracy's on him. If
Foremost,
he's
I'm
got an
sorry.
issue with his offensive line, he needs to go, you know what? Where can I get the ball out in less than 2 seconds?
Right.
That should be his goal.
Right.
Hey,
So I mean, yeah, because
that's what he should be working on.
Yeah, you should have audibles or something set in that.
To call the man
That's what Matt Ryan did last year.
work ethic into question is totally wrong. Calling his work ethic into question. He's out there throwing passes with Benjamin after practice for hours on end. So, I mean, to say he put in the time.
So
Where's the rest of them? Where's the rest of them?
Where's Avant? Where's Burson? Where's the rest of these guys?
Yeah,
They all suck, man.
Where's Greg Olson?
They're out there too. I mean, y'all were talking out of ignorance.
Yeah, he's got good
They're
chemistry with Olsen.
Hey, he was
work
up until a couple weeks ago. He said,
like I said, I know he works hard. I know doggone well he works hard. Like I said, I mean that dude, he works very hard. But he may not be working on the things he needs to work on to get that improvement. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think Cam has a fundamental weakness, and we talked about this on the C3 podcast, and our boy Straight Fags had a lot to say about this, and that's that when you are such a freak, phenomenal athlete, what you've done for your entire life is gotten away with so many of these little things that do translate. And what we've seen is when Cam Newton is under pressure, when you have no quarterback in the NFL with under 2 seconds is going to have success. Sorry, look, we can go ahead and look straight to Atlanta on this. When Atlanta is having all of those problems on the offensive line, no blame is going to Matt Ryan when he's having these tough games.
That's right.
That's because Matt Ryan's still throwing the ball accuracy-wise. Regardless of what's going on with the offensive line, Matt Ryan's not the one hitting. Matt Ryan still hits his receivers with catchable passes every single play. Matt Ryan's still throwing his receivers.
Not if he has under 2 seconds, he doesn't.
Even when he does. That's what I'm trying to
You don't even have time to move your arm. He's got 9 sacks at that point. Remember when the Kraken sacked him 6 times? What were you saying then? Were you saying that he wasn't working hard enough off the field?
Yeah, but I was also saying take the sack, because there's times when Cam Newton should just take the sack, and he throws the ball away and it's a pick.
I mean, yeah, Drew Brees has done the same thing.
We're watching.
Two of them are Hail Marys at the end of the game.
Yeah.
We are watching totally different games because Cam Newton's problem is that he holds on to the ball instead of throwing it away. He doesn't check down, and he tries to make the big play. So,
but he doesn't eat sacks either.
Let's move on to another quarterback that has had more problems. That's certainly, and we're going to do this in order of Gene. Here is something that happened today or yesterday, Tuesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is on Tampa Bay's radio station.
For me, things aren't going to change in the way I prepare. I was in here all day watching film.
Yeah, I'm going to start it over so you guys can hear.
Do you think they are, considering the way last year went? You knew the
Marcus Arroyo and Levy this morning, and they decided that it'll be best for Josh to go ahead this week and get the start. For me, things aren't going to change in the way I prepare. Was in here all day watching film. We'll be in here bright and early, taking care of my business as usual, and we'll just keep preparing the same way, and nothing's going to change with the way I work and with the way I support the team. And
all right, this is Mike Glennon announcing his being benched on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers radio station.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think? First of all, is this the right move? How bad was Mike Glennon playing? How responsible was this? And is this strange that he announced he's the first person to let the world know that he was benched?
He probably shouldn't have let people know because they were probably planning with Josh McCown taking most of the first team reps this week to put McCown out there kind of as a surprise last minute.
I don't think that was even the case. No.
But Glennon getting benched isn't surprising. McCown being the starter isn't surprising because Lovie Smith has never known how to use a quarterback. Yeah, Lovie Smith's an idiot when it comes to quarterback usage. Lovie Smith needs a good, legitimate quarterback to be good. I view Lovie Smith the same way I view Rex Ryan. He's a great defensive coach.
Yeah.
He's going to get your team to play hard, but without a great offensive coordinator, there's nothing he can do. And if Jeff Clifford was healthy this year and was in there as an offensive coordinator, I guarantee you the Bucs would probably be 5-3 right now, as opposed to 6-2. They lost a lot of close games that Tedford would have made a different call than Arroyo, and they would have won. They would have beat New Orleans. I'm gonna put that out there. They would have beat New Orleans because Marcus Arroyo is an idiot, and there were 6 or 7 calls when I watched that game where I said, "Man, Tedford would have done something completely different and probably would have won this game." They would have beat Carolina at home and St. Louis at home because there were just a lot of stupid calls. A lot of stupid calls.
Let me just say that's a lot of speculation there because Tedford is.
They had no reason losing to Minnesota, to Cleveland, to St. Louis. I mean, Baltimore destroyed them, Atlanta destroyed them, but outside of those 2 games, every other game they had was winnable, was within a score, and I think Tedford would have made all the difference in the world because having a guy who's an actual offensive coordinator making the calls as opposed to a guy who's a quarterback's coach making the calls he's come out and said, "I am way in over my head. I should have not been the offensive coordinator."
Agree.
Yeah. Aaron, this is your boy from NC State, and T Money just hit us up, and he said that Glennon's brother had tweeted this out prior to the radio show, so that's why he had to fess up to it. So even worse is that the brother was upset with with Lovie, and how things shook out. How do you feel, Aaron, seeing your alma mater, right? Glennon's NC State cat, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
What do you think about this?
Well, hey, man, it's not the first time something like this has happened. I remember Kurt Warner's wife going on the air in St. Louis blasting the front office, right? So, people say some stuff that you can't control, and you just kind of got to roll with it. Scott, you said that Lovey's got to have a decent quarterback has to have a good quarterback to be good at his job. Well, tell me any other head coach that doesn't need a decent quarterback to be good. I mean, you take Matt Ryan out of the Falcons, Mike Smith looks a whole lot worse. You take Drew Brees out.
Also not a good coach.
What's that?
Mike Smith's also not a good coach.
Well, you get my point. Sean Payton, you take Drew Brees out of there, he doesn't look as good.
Sean Payton,
right? You got to have talent there. I don't think
Sean Payton was just as good. Bill Belichick would look just as good without Brady.
No way.
Bill Belichick would look just as good.
How good did he look in Cleveland? How good did Belichick look in Cleveland?
But you got to remember something too. Belichick got screwed in Cleveland. Belichick got screwed in Cleveland. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Belichick got jobbed in Cleveland. He had him at 4-12, then 8-8, and then he got fired for what?
No, you know why he got
Baltimore?
There's only one. There's no coach that can do well at quarterback. We all know that without a quarterback, that's the most important position on the field. So is that and I can play you clip after clip about Sean Payton.
Belichick did well with Drew Bledsoe, with Brady. In Cleveland, he went 6-10 and then 7-9 back-to-back years because his GM sucked. And then he went.
Bledsoe was awesome, dude.
Then he went 11-5 with a shitty Cleveland team in 1994.
Yep.
Drew Bledsoe took the damn Cowboys to the playoffs.
You want to know who his quarterback was in 1994?
Okay.
Your mind if you think Belichick is just as good without Tom Brady. There's no way.
I do. I do, because I think Belichick can find a quarterback that'll be good.
Yeah, he can. Because I mean, like I said, I'm gonna get. I got to go history on that one too, because you got to remember with Cleveland, what everybody forgets about Cleveland is that when Belichick got fired that year, Cleveland was about to move to Baltimore. a lot of that team morale was I think everybody was more worried about moving, having to go moving everything.
Just yelling at offensive linemen and telling them to block.
Play ball.
Bill Belichick went 11-5 with Vinny Testaverde as his quarterback. Okay.
Okay, I want to point out another thing that Scott said. Scott said that that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would be much better had they had a real offensive coordinator instead of quarterbacks coach calling the plays.
4-year-old
It would have helped.
Arroyo who has no business calling plays.
Right.
Hold on.
I would agree there.
That is my point. Mike Shula is our offensive coordinator who also was a quarterbacks coach that probably has no business.
Shula.
But
Yes.
Shula sucks anyway.
He's also a 49-year-old coach with over 20 years of 20 years of coaching experience.
But it doesn't make him good.
He was a head coach at Alabama. He was
And
an
he's
offensive coordinator before for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're using a completely different example. Marcus Arroyo has zero experience.
Yeah, because what you're looking at is, Tefford doesn't have professional experience, but Tefford built that offense. The whole key was that he was supposed to come in there and run that offense. Now you all of a sudden he's sick, he's out. Arroyo's got to make calls. Arroyo's basically got to try to be Jeff Tefford when he's not Jeff Tefford in any way, shape, or form. So
And Arroyo's been nothing but a quarterbacks coach his entire career.
Arroyo's not going to make him.
Hey,
He's been nothing but a quarterbacks coach his entire career. He has no business calling plays.
No, the dude is a quarterbacks coach. He should not. That's a huge problem.
Let Aaron jump in. Let Aaron jump in real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just reading what T Money tweeted out there, saying that going back to McCown is just Lovey being loyal to another average quarterback. He's done it in the past. He's doing it again.
I think I know. I've been thinking about this all day, so I have an idea. Go ahead.
No,
I think it's limiting mistakes.
I think neither one of them are good quarterbacks. So until they get another good quarterback in there, they're going to be the same old Bucks. Neither one of them are going to take them to the promised land, no matter what Lovey does.
Right.
I
agree. I mean, basically,
might win a game or two.
Huh?
Either one of them might win him a game or two.
Right.
They probably would have been much more competent looking
with Glennon.
With Glennon and Tedford running the show as opposed to an Arroyo.
All right, well, let's hear what Lovey Smith had to say about this, because he was asked about being loyal and he was asked about Glennon's feelings. And what the reporter asked him is was he concerned about hurting the feelings?
I'm not in to feel bad for anybody. We're trying to win football games. It's as simple as that. If I make changes, I talk to that person in, which I did, and I go through the proper channels that I need to get things like that out. I feel good about that. When it came out, who did it? That's just low on the totem pole for me right now.
Marcus Arroyo.
So that's kind of an interesting take there, is that does that show to you guys that Lovey is frustrated at this point at the way the season's going?
I think, and I think like I said, I think I said a few weeks ago, if Lovey puts McGowan back in, I thought he'd lose a little bit of credibility. But I'm going to tell you, I think I know what he's doing. I think when he said Glennon was the quarterback of the future, he said that back in August, right?
Right.
Okay, when you think about it, September and October is the future. But then it stopped after that. You know what I mean? He saw what he needed to see. He saw the film. He didn't see improvement. And then he just basically figured he's going to shut that down. I think he knows going back to McGowan, he's not going to win any more games. But I think he knows that already, that he's either looking at Jameis Winston or Marcus Mariota, or he's going to make a trade for a quarterback at this point. He already knows. So I think in a sense, in a quarterback situation, I just figured he'd just go to the guy that he paid to be there as the starter and let him finish out the year if he can, if he lives, because God knows with that offensive line, he may get clocked again and he'll be right back on that sideline real quick. But I think overall, he saw enough of Glennon. I think he wanted to just kind of end that, and he didn't want to have any more speculation about Glennon or any other questions. He figures
maybe McCown should just spend extra time with him after practice. Just tell that offensive line to block better.
McGowan, from what I understood, McGowan was trying to do that, but I mean, but hold on, you only got so much ability. The dude has been he's been a backup since he's been in diapers.
That's
Well,
true.
no, here's the thing. When you've got a quarterback like Cam Newton, as an offensive lineman, you're taught to guard a spot. You're
Yeah.
not taught to guard, oh, hey, here's Cam Newton. We're going to block here and here and here and here. No, you're taught he's going to block the spot, and then you got to fold the pocket around.
Got to be honest, we'd be happy if that guy was blocking any spot.
I know.
Happy.
Ask Greg about this. Is that Gillette was untouched? He went untouched in that game like 3 or 4 times.
Brutal.
You know, I mean, it's just. I think that those expectations are strange. Maybe Lovey should trade for Rex Grossman, and get back to normal.
He went to the Super Bowl with Rex Grossman, but that's also to one hell of a defense too. He had one hell of a defense that year also, which he does not have now.
Let's look forward to next week, and there's 2 primetime matchups and a divisional matchup coming up, right? We have the Saints hosting the 49ers, the Panthers. That's Thursday night.
Yep.
You've got the Panthers on Monday Night Football going to Philadelphia to play the Eagles, and if I'm right, it is Tampa Bay and Atlanta. Scott, where's that game at?
That game is in Tampa.
Atlanta's in Tampa. New Orleans hosts San Francisco at 1 o'clock on Sunday.
Yes, they do.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's not a Monday. It's not a third. No, okay. The Panthers was a Thursday night game. That's right. Sorry. So the Panthers is the only primetime matchup out of that.
Panthers are a Monday night game. Panthers get the long bye, as I call it, where it's a Thursday followed by a Monday.
Yeah, he
Right.
was talking about last Thursday.
The mini bye. Yeah, what I meant is that I confused that the Saints with the Thursday night was actually when they played us on Thursday night.
Right.
So let's jump into the Saints matchup first. This is the one. This is a game that I think a lot of people are looking forward to. The Saints at home, always tough, but they've had to play the 49ers. I feel like this is like the 3rd or the 4th year in a row. It seems like
About
that
third or fourth.
This is Drew Brees talking about last year's game against the 49ers and how they won with that kind of funny call to the face.
How salty do you think they are, considering the way last year went? You knew the question was coming, but with the hit on you, didn't get the call. You guys ended up winning, and they talked a lot about that weeks after that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You ask them.
So, my man, do you think he's taking a page from Sean Payton in the press conferences these days? And that is a total Sean Payton answer right there.
But I wouldn't answer that question either. I mean, at this point, I won and I can care less about what happened last year. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, as the old school side of me, the call, I could have lived with the call. You know what I mean? Without them calling it a penalty.
Right.
But the fact is that the way the rules lend it, if you go anywhere near that helmet, and which he did barely touch that helmet, they're gonna make that call. So I mean, what do? You know what I mean? They're gonna make that call. So
but you certainly don't ask them to pick the flag up. That's for sure.
Right. Exactly. Oh yeah. I mean, no. The hell no. Not if it's going in my direction. No.
All right.
Right now. But I mean, for the most part, I look at it like this. I mean, they're gonna be mad. That's fine. But I think that New Orleans, like I said, I definitely think New Orleans wins this game. It's gonna be close. It's gonna be tight. I still do think it's gonna be a big dogfight in that game. Even without Alden Smith and with some of the issues that San Francisco's having, everybody else is kind of like, you know, San Francisco's down, this and that. I got a feeling that you got Jim Harbaugh basically trying to inspire a wounded animal, and that's what San Francisco is, because everybody knows San Francisco's capable of really. They're a pretty good team overall. They got some boys there that can really hurt you. So I mean, I don't. New Orleans know they can't let their guard down in this game. They got to play. They got to play it hard and be ready.
Man, you talk about problems on the offensive line. How many sacks did they give up to St. Louis last week? What was it, 8?
I mean, well, they gave up like 8 sacks or something like that, 6 or 8 sacks, and I know they gave up like 11 in the last 2 or 3 games.
They might
gave up about 11.
Foku.
Huh?
They might trade with us for Foku.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I think a lot of people looking at like New Orleans might feast on them because of the way the offensive line has had issues.
Yeah,
I'm just not ready to. I'm not ready to sit there and think that that's going to be the case. I'm not going to kick my feet up and just expect New Orleans to go in there sacking Kaepernick.
Yeah,
I just look at it like they may. Hopefully they do, but I don't want to take this team lightly and by any means or any stretch of the imagination at all, because I know this. You're fooling yourself.
It'll be a good game.
Way too much Jonathan Martin out there. That's the real issue.
He's just been bullied all over the field.
Yes, he's awful. And then Daniel Kogan got hurt. I mean,
no wonder they sent him dick pics and mess like that, because he sucks. What do you think, Greg, what worries you the most about the 49ers other than just being with back to the, Harbaugh? I can't imagine him in the meetings this week after the last week.
Absolutely unbearable right at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, they're probably ready to fire him right now.
Yeah, I know. He's got to be absolutely unbearable. I would not want to be in the same room with that dude right now with 2 losses, and then he's got to go on the road to New Orleans. He's got to be on people's asses. If somebody steps wrong, he's probably on their asses.
What worries you the most about this team, other than them just being, having a emotional component to it? What worries you the most? I think you've won 20 straight home games under Sean Payton.
Yeah. The Saints having a letdown, thinking that kind of being too comfortable being at home, and not really maybe not playing as well as they should be. You know what I mean? They really need to be on their P's and Q's on this game. If they can close this out early, they need to do it. You know what I mean? And be done with it. They cannot let this team hang around, because if they allow this team to hang around, it's going to come back and bite them in the ass. And I hate to say that, but it's true. So because they're going to come after them. That's for sure. Because they got a little revenge on their mind. They got a little redemption on their mind. So I'm not going to – these next 3 games, I'm not taking anybody lightly, even though we're at home. And I'm more comfortable with the fact that we're at home. That I feel confident that we can win them. But you just cannot – you can't sleep on these teams, no matter how they come in, whether they're coming in on a roll or they're coming in, kind of wounded right now, like San Francisco is. They got to come in there and they got to be ready to hurt them.
Your next 3 games are at home?
All next 3 games are at home.
Woo.
Yep. San Francisco, Cincinnati, and then Baltimore, I think it is.
Yeah, they've got tough opponents, but they're all at home, which is that like negates half of the difficulty. Scott, what do you see about the 49ers that could be a threat, or do you see a threat in this game to the New Orleans Saints with the 49ers coming in off of that loss last year, and as well as the struggles they've had in the last 2 weeks?
The 49ers are a damn good team. They're way better than their 4-4 record really shows.
Agreed.
They honestly had no reason losing to Chicago. They honestly had no reason losing to St. Louis.
No.
Denver just destroyed them, which is fine. And it's tough for any team to go into Arizona and play really, really well. It really is tough for teams to do that. So they're going to go to New Orleans, and I honestly think they're a better team. I think they're just a more talented team. And from my understanding, they should be getting back. I think they're getting back Aldon Smith this week.
No, he's not. He's not coming back.
Okay,
he won't be back.
He's back at practice.
Either Aldon Smith or Patrick Willis. They're going to get somebody off injury.
I think Aldon Smith's back, man.
No, I don't think he is. Well, last I heard, they weren't making a decision on that. I don't think he's coming back early. I mean, I could be wrong, but the last I read he wasn't coming back yet.
Maybe it was Patrick Willis.
I think it was Willis. I'm pretty sure it was Willis.
Yeah, I think it's Willis that's coming back. I knew it was one of the linebackers that's coming back, and that's going to be huge for that defense. Yeah, it was Willis. It was Willis because he was limited in practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big get because Willis is one of their best players, you know.
And Justin Smith had an old man day today because he's like 40.
Yeah, he is.
But no, I mean that's the big one. Justin Willis is supposed to, or not just Patrick Willis is supposed to be back. And then it looks like David Hawthorne's been hurting, Kerry Robinson's been hurting, Zach Street's been hurting, good old Pierre's been hurting. But Jimmy Graham should be back.
What did you think, Scott, today? News came out that, and you're from South Carolina, or you?
I'm from Atlanta, but I went to college in South Carolina.
Marcus Lattimore retired today. What do you citing that? It's just kind of, I think, exhausted by the struggle to get on the field after such difficult injuries. What do you got any comments on that?
I mean, I have no issues with. I've got no issues with him doing that. If you saw the injury, and I was actually there for
it was nasty.
The second one in person, I had front row tickets to watch Marcus Lattimore get his knee ripped out from under him. So yeah, I would have retired right after that injury, but he was smart enough to say, you know what, I'm recovering, I'm back. Got taken in the friggin' what was it? It was like
the fourth round, I think it was.
Yeah, it was like the end of the fourth round.
Like fourth round when they got him.
And so he went the end of the fourth round and wound up getting a damn sorry, losing my train of thought. Went at the end of the fourth round, got $1 million basically just to get drafted, and then retired. Basically, he said, you know what, I'm going to set myself up for life real quick, and hopefully I'll be able to come back and play football again, but if not, at least I'll be set up for life.
Yeah. Well, he's going to have to move out of California because that will go in like 2 weeks or 2 years in California.
And moving back home to his mom's house isn't going to be that big of a deal.
No, yeah.
He's paid, let's see, 405, 420... So 405,000 plus 420,000 plus 584. He's made $1.125 million to do nothing.
Well, to struggle. I got some respect for this.
But honestly,
I like this decision. I think this is a neat decision that
I would have him on a coaching staff tomorrow. Because it's not like he's stupid. It's not like he doesn't understand the game. He just can't play because his knee's destroyed.
Yeah. I mean, that was a nasty injury. That was a really nasty injury.
I think this is kind of an admirable move that we don't see it. That we're so stunned to see, where a guy essentially decided that it wasn't mentally and physically worth it to him to endeavor to continue this path because of the expectations that other people have placed on him. So I think that's neat. It's kind of like he just made a life decision to, go and be a barista at. To own some. I think it's cool. I think it shows some comfortableness with yourself and your personality and where you at in your life to do this instead of just I don't know. I thought that was neat. It was just a story that was on my mind today. What then? Let's go ahead and move on to Tampa Bay and Atlanta. Another game in Tampa Bay. Oh my gosh, another game in Tampa Bay. I feel like every week they play in Tampa Bay, and I know you guys say it's not true, but feels like it. How is this? Is this going to be as ugly as the records indicate, Scott?
I think Tampa Bay, Atlanta is going to be a little bit more interesting than the records indicate because both teams are pretty bad. But both teams have parts of their teams that look pretty solid. Tampa Bay has a decent defensive line. Atlanta's offensive line is starting to gel with the backups. Gabe Carimi finally got benched for a guy named Ryan Schrader, who none of y'all even know, but he went to Valdosta State. He played half the season last year and looked pretty solid. He's starting this week. He should do very well against the mediocre pass rush that they have. Justin Blaylock's finally healthy, and he should be able to take on a healthy Gerald McCoy somewhat reasonably.
I don't know about that one.
Reasonably. Dave Matthews is healthy again, thank God, and he should be able to take on Michael Johnson pretty easily, like he did the first time. But, I mean, Atlanta's going to have a tough matchup. Tampa Bay is going to have a tough matchup. Tampa Bay can't cover Julio Jones. Tampa Bay doesn't have a single person on that entire team that can match up with Julio Jones.
Well, not many people have a guy that can cover Julio Jones.
They have like 3 guys that they could put together to cover Julio Jones. Because Deshaun Golson, every time Jones is lined up against him, has just murked. Julio has just murked Deshaun Golson every single time. In the first game Atlanta played this year, Jones had 9 catches for 161 yards and 2 touchdowns. In the 2012 NFC Championship game, also against Golston most of the game, he had 11 catches for 182 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, I mean...
He's on my fantasy team.
Who, Golston?
No, not Golston.
Okay, yeah. Good day for Julio Jones. I'm money on it. He's going to get like 7 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown at a minimum.
So Julio Jones, the storyline of this game is Julio Jones single-handedly defeats the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Julio Jones, Anthony Smith's going to destroy him too. Devin Hester's going to destroy him a little bit. I mean, Atlanta's finally getting everybody healthy at wide receiver. They're finally getting everybody healthy on the offensive line that's not out for the season. Like, Ryan Schrader and James Stone are fill-ins, but their other 3 starters have been battling injuries, and they're finally healthy. Not a single one of them was on the injury report this week. So, I mean, they've got guys who they're looking pretty good. I'll put it that way. They look a lot cleaner than they did. The only issue that Atlanta really has is getting a pass rush, which that ain't happening, even with this crappy Bucs offensive line. Atlanta will get like 2 sacks, and people will go, oh my God, they got more than 1.
Let me ask you, I want to turn the mic over to Aaron on this. I'm going to ask Aaron, who has more to play for in this game? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Lovie Smith, or Atlanta Falcons and Mike Smith?
I'd have to say the Falcons and Mike Smith. Yeah, I mean, I think Mike Smith is, his days may be numbered, right? But he's trying to go out there and show that he's still got it. Honestly, I think
if he loses this week, the Falcons are going to cut him.
What's that?
I think if the Falcons lose this week, Mike Smith will have signed his warrant, like his death warrant.
He signed his warrant.
That seat that he's on is hot. I mean, did y'all see the picture of Arthur Blank looking at him in London?
That wasn't from London, man.
I was like, I should fire your ass now.
Just leave.
Flight back in
last season during the Panthers game. That's not even from London. That's that salty look pick. That's from the game in Carolina.
Oh, really? So yeah, Mike Smith's on is very high. So I think Atlanta definitely has more to play for. But are they going to show up and play? They're going to show up and do it. I mean, McCown.
I think if they don't, it's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think they're going to lose a lot of faith very quickly. I mean, not like Mike Smith has a ton of it as it is, but
I don't think he has any faith right now. I don't think they have any faith in the guy. I don't think the players have any faith in the guy.
All right, how about this? I'm gonna bring this up. I'm gonna ask Greg about this. Hashtag save Smitty. Right?
Well, I mean, the fact
Where did that come from?
Well, I mean, I guess somebody, a radio station in New Orleans, I guess, came up with this program because they really love Michael Smith, and they think that Mike should stay the coach of Atlanta because he's been doing so.
How did this guy fall so far? I mean, 2 years ago, is awesome.
So they came up with a program to save Smitty. Say what?
How did he fall so far? He wasn't a good coach in the first place.
Y'all weren't saying that when you were going 13-3 and 12-4.
Yeah, nobody was saying nah. Yeah.
Oh, yes, they were. Oh, yes, they were. Oh, yes, they were.
No, it was a lot of people that were bashing the guy. It was a lot of people that bashing the guy when they were winning.
There were a lot of Falcons fans who were saying this guy doesn't keep his foot on the throat of opponents. This guy plays way too conservatively. This guy plays not to lose.
Yeah, and they said that a lot.
Evident. Then right after that
was him coming out on the field, showing passion, showing fire, rallying his team.
Yeah, and then 2010 happened.
13-3.
2010 happened. It looked like shit since then.
But I tell you, well, anyway, but the whole Save Smitty programs that we would like to keep Mike Smith in place in Atlanta. Me, I think that Arthur Blank should just give him a stern talking to, and and I think he'll straighten up.
You think Arthur Blank giving him a stern talk? Dude, Arthur Blank doesn't know what a stern talk is.
3 more years, man.
I'm aware of that.
At the top of his lungs, and you don't get this shit straightened out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's gone anyway. I mean, the fact that you hear it in the papers that they're looking for a big name coach tells you already he's gone. He's done.
You know what amazes me?
It's going to be Rex Ryan next year, unless it's Hugh Jackson. That's my view.
What amazes me, people talk about the troubles for the Atlanta Falcons is all about injuries, right? The offensive line got decimated. Jake's the worst left tackle because only because he's injured.
Every team got injured. I'm sorry. Every team got injured.
It's not all about injuries. It's about not being able to adjust the scheme due to those injuries. It's about Mike Smith being an idiot.
You don't adjust the scheme when you're
a good coach says, hey, I've got injuries along the offensive line. How do I fix it? Oh, well, instead of running these complicated trap and man blocking schemes, let's run something that's easier for the line to grasp. Let's run some zone blocking schemes.
Done, man. You've been practicing that in training camp and mini camps throughout the summer. You don't just come in and install a new offense.
But you're not necessarily.
But you're down to the last 5 guys who were even healthy for training camp.
Right, so why does that make Mike Smith a bad coach if you're down to the last 5 guys? He's a good coach. It's like John
Fox. Not a good coach. A good coach doesn't play Jonathan Babineau at defensive end.
We had Jimmy Fox as quarterback, but that didn't make John Fox a bad coach.
John Fox was a bad coach. Because John Fox, during his last 3 years in Carolina, made a ton of stupid decisions.
Look at him now. When you give him Peyton Manning, he looks brilliant.
Yeah, but quarterbacks don't matter.
They don't have to worry about their offense.
Having a good quarterback, a good coach can get around it. Here, this is what it is with John Fox. John Fox was not good. He has a key weakness to his coaching game, and that is he's not good at coaching young kids into becoming professional.
Not a developer. He's a veteran's guy coach.
Yeah, you give him that
same issue. Mike Smith has a talented defensive end named Jonathan Massaquoi, who's sitting on the bench essentially, even though he's the Falcons' best pass rusher. Even though if you look at all pass rushers, all 14 defensive
what about the defensive coordinator? Does the defensive coordinator, I mean, and I understand that this all falls at
I've never seen Mike Nolan run a scheme anything like this. I've never seen Mike Nolan. I've seen Mike Smith run schemes like this, but I've never seen Mike Nolan run schemes like this.
God, I want to ask
defensive tackle playing defensive end. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense, and it's a completely illogical scheme. You play your defensive ends at defensive end. You play your defensive tackles, your 3 techniques, at 3 technique. It's not a hard concept. Play the guys in the right fucking spots. It's not a hard concept. Jonathan Babineau is not a 7 technique defensive end. He's not fast enough for that. He runs maybe a 5.3 in the 40 now.
Yeah, that's definitely not fast enough. You can't get around there.
You've got guys who run 4.6s. You've got guys with great 3-cone, great athleticism, great simple, just speed, burst off the line. Guys like Malachi Goodman, guys like Jonathan Masqua, guys like Sanzing Mapanga. And the reason why you don't know who these guys are that I'm listing is because either you don't follow the draft or Mike Smith's an idiot and doesn't put these guys in because they need to be put in so they can actually get the snaps, get the reps to develop into the players that they can be. Because they've all got great raw talent.
Didn't you guys pay Babineau big-time money to come to Atlanta?
Babineau was drafted by Atlanta back in 2005 in the 2nd round.
Who was the
contract?
Who was the
Tyson Jackson was given a big contract, and the Falcons moved him at defensive end or to defensive tackle when he's a 5 technique defensive end for a 3-4.
Yeah, he is.
Doesn't really run
now Tyson can play 4-3 too. Tyson can play 4-3.
Yeah, at defensive end.
Yeah, at defensive end, right? Exactly. He can't play defensive end. He can play 4-3.
In that 6 technique, he played that this past week, or he played that against Detroit, and he looked pretty solid.
Right, because he played that in LSU.
Yeah.
All right. Let me jump in there. Aaron, you had a question.
I was just thinking about the defensive coordinator. Didn't your defensive coordinator go to Notre Dame recently? Van Gorder?
Van Gorder was fired.
Yeah, years ago. You got Nolan now.
Van Gorder was fired 3 seasons ago.
3 seasons ago. Okay. Hey, doing pretty good in Notre Dame right now, but I was just asking what's changed on the defense this year. I mean, you had O.C. Umenyiora, right?
He's not a prime pass rusher. He's a secondary pass rusher.
Yeah. Pretty much.
What's happened to the defense?
What?
In your
Bierman's playing over 80% of the snaps, and Bierman sucks. Major donkey dick. Let's be honest here. Bierman's probably the worst defensive end in the entire NFL because he should be playing strong side linebacker in a 4-3.
You don't think you have a lot of talent on defense?
No, I think they're not using the talent that they have on defense.
Yeah.
If you put the right talent in the right spots, the defense would actually look good. Like, don't put Malachi Goodman at a defensive end because you have the same issue there that you have with Jonathan Babineau. He's a 1 technique. You play him at 1 technique. You don't try to – it's where guys win. Mike Smith doesn't understand play guys where they win, and that's how your team's going to be better. He drafted Pere Jerry in the 1st round, or he told Thomas Dimitroff, hey, I really like this Pere Jerry guy. Let's get him in the 1st round. And Dimitroff was like, all right, cool. You like him. You know how to use him. And then he fucking destroyed him, playing him as a 1 technique for 4 straight years when the guy can't hold onto a double team and is a penetrator. That's the issue with Mike Smith. Mike Smith's an idiot and doesn't understand how to use his talent to maximize it. He never has. Mike Smith.
All right, well, I can tell you one thing is I am straight tired of Mike Smith so much that I'm not even supporting the Save Mike Smith movement anymore because of this conversation. Let's move on quickly, real quick. Aaron, tell us what you're looking forward to on Monday night with the Panthers and the Philadelphia Eagles. Tell the people listening who are not necessarily Panther fans what's going on in this game.
Well, Scott, I think the last time you and I talked, you pointed out, and I think it may have even been preseason, that the most talented defensive back on the Carolina Panthers is who? You said Benny Benwickery, right?
Yeah, Benny Benwickery.
Yep. He's coming back this week, right? Looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to some guys getting healthy.
But you know who the 2nd most talented defensive back you guys have is?
Josh Norman?
No.
Yes. Josh
Yes.
Norman might be he might be the most talented. He just has an attitude problem
I
sometimes.
was thinking of a different name. I was thinking Robert Lester. But you guys won't even play him, you know. And then you finally cut Godfrey, who's going to be a special teamer in Atlanta, to bring Lester back, which was, honestly, I thought you should have done it 6 weeks ago.
But hey, to answer your question, I think what I'm looking forward to Monday night, get some people back healthy. You got Amini Solotulu coming back. You got Trey Turner possibly coming back. You got Byron Bell coming back. You got starting offensive lineman back where we're going to at least be more comfortable than we were last week. Cam, I think is going to have a big game. I think it's going to be a shootout. Get a couple breaks, we might still win in Philly. That's what I'm looking for.
Let's put it this way. Silatolu and Turner are good offensive linemen. There's a reason why they went in the second and the third round, respectively. There's a reason why in the future they'll probably be great offensive linemen. But if you guys don't spend your first-round pick on a left tackle and move Byron Bell back over to the right side next season, you're going to have a garbage offensive line again next year.
Hey, yeah, I agree with you. There's no doubt we got to address that in the offseason. But for this Monday night, he's an upgrade over what we had last week. There's no doubt about it.
Certainly. Certainly.
Tolu and Turner can at least hold the depth of the pocket for you.
Yeah.
They at least give Cam a spot to step up into.
Well, we don't know necessarily. We haven't been convinced by Silatolu just yet. Is that he showed some promise at times, but he's had such injury problems that he hasn't been able to develop at the pace, and he just hasn't been able to be on the field enough for us to really know just how well he is. Now, what he can be and what he is are two different things. Again, Trey Turner is put in a very difficult spot as a rookie, asking him to do a lot as being probably the best guy on the offensive line, talent-wise, other than Ryan Khalil.
To be fair, the four guys that beat Silatolu for a sack this year were Ndamukong Suh, it was Haloti Ngata, it was, what's his name in Chicago, Stephen Paya, who's damn good. So, I mean, those were three of the four, and then the fourth was Steve McClendon in Pittsburgh.
And you're also mentioning, just to point this out, those are the 4 games that Silatolu played. The next thing, though, is...
They were. I'm just saying. Those are the guys
we don't know if we have a good sample group, but I think to Aaron's point on this is that while that is not ideal offensive line, while having Byron Bell come back, and while putting all your money on Turner and Silatolu is not necessarily the best bet in the world, what it is a better bet than who we had out there last week.
That's right.
Aaron, going into this game, though, you got the Carolina Panthers, who have been motivated for weeks in many ways, or at least that's what we've been hoping and we've been praying. They've had their backs to the wall all over the place, and that motivation is not translated onto the field. Why this week?
Well, I really think if it's going to happen, and like you said, man, we've been counting on it and waiting for it. And who knows, man, by 1:30, or I'm sorry, by 9 o'clock on Monday night, see, I'm out here on the East Coast, or the West Coast, I got our time zones mixed up. But, you know, by the end of the first quarter Monday night, we might be pissed off and dreading the Tuesday night call or podcast. But if it's going to happen, it's going to be good because we're getting healthy again. You see the tweet up there by our boy, Panther Nasty. It's all about getting healthy, guys getting back. Hey, last week Greg Olsen couldn't even go out into a route. He had to stay back in protection, which allowed everybody to focus on Benjamin. You get Olsen out there, some good things can start happening. We got your boy Philly Brown back. Some good things might be happening right around the corner.
That's not my boy. That's not my boy. Last question for you, and then we're going to jump into our picks because we got to get out of here. I got to go to work in the morning. My last question, it's a 2-part question, Aaron, and this is for you. How are the Eagles any less threatening with Mark Sanchez at the helm? And number 2 is, how concerned are you about Shady McCoy against the Carolina Panthers, who have struggled against the run this year?
Well, I would personally rather face Sanchez than Foles, but don't be fooled. Sanchez is not Jimmy Clausen, right? And I think the bigger story is the people that are coming back from Philadelphia than the people that are being lost. Darren Sproles getting back healthy again, and Evan Mathis coming off of IR. That's going to have a big impact. So I'm fearing Shady McCoy. We've got to focus on Shady. We've got to focus on Sproles, and then we can get after Sanchez. Maybe he'll do the butt fumble routine by the end of the game. But if you get back there and you let the boys run wild, you let Shady get 150 yards, Sanchez will end up killing us.
Yeah, that's safe to say.
Yeah.
I mean, Sanchez is a good quarterback who gets a very bad rap because of crap that happened.
But if he doesn't have a running game and he gets pressure on him, he will crumble.
Agreed.
Yeah, but here's how Chip Kelly works. We've got a quarterback who is really just a figurehead. Chip Kelly's one of those guys who doesn't need a good quarterback to be a great coach. Because he builds everything else to where you can plug any quarterback in there and they can be successful.
Pretty much. I mean,
offensive line,
well, that's true.
Quarterback can be successful.
Everybody on Nick Foles this year
Any
because
quarterback can be successful.
Sanchez is like a gunslinger. What are you talking about?
Mark Sanchez looked great this past week.
No. What I said is, why is everybody in Philadelphia so down on Nick Foles for his interception rates going up and not being the way he was last year? If it's all about the system, I don't quite buy that. I don't think Chip Kelly's
his interception rate went up because he threw an ungodly or a ridiculously low amount of interceptions last year.
Yeah.
That he was going to regress to the mean. And
everybody knew this.
But they were still winning a shit ton of games. Yep. And it wasn't because Foles was bad. It wasn't because he was throwing all those picks. It was regression to the mean.
Mm-hmm.
He had 317 attempts last year with 2 picks. He had 312 attempts this year with 10 picks.
Right, and then people were saying, what's wrong with Foles? And my point is, Chip Kelly's offense looked great last year because Foles only had 2 interceptions.
And it still looked great this year.
Yeah, I mean, they're still pretty scary. In a sense.
They're still pretty scary, but I'm just saying you can't put any quarterback in there and be great.
LaShawn McCoy has not been dangerous this year.
Yeah,
season, that offense dangerous. It has gotten the job done. The defensive line with Nick Foles, but to even compare that offense, the Philadelphia.
You there, Tony?
Yeah, I know. You were in and out there.
I mean, that offense was scoring. That offense was scoring 25, 30 points a game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
not this year.
I mean, Shady is. I mean, but everybody kind of pretty much is keen on Shady too, you know. So he's going to be a lot less effective compared to last year. And then the fact is that everybody knew Foles was going to throw more than two interceptions this year. He had a whole year, you know. He had a full year. You know, this time he's playing full year. He didn't play a full year last year. I think he only played half the season roughly.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, about half the season. So I mean, a lot less left a chance there. But then the fact that people had a year to plan for Chip Kelly's offense a little bit. So you know, defensive coordinator look at what he's doing.
I don't buy the premise that put any old quarterback in there in that offense.
Well, not old quarterback. He's got to be competent. I mean, you can't put Jimmy Clausen back there.
Right.
You can't
Mark Sanchez was a top 5 pick. He had some talent.
Well, yeah, he's got to be talented.
Yeah, and I think Sanchez is talented, but if you get pressure on him and you stop the run, he will crumble.
Yeah, but see, their offense, the offense is predicated on him getting the ball out quick. Number 2, they're spreading you out. So the thing about it is that I think Sanchez can adjust to this and be fine overall. You know, the offense, because if he's getting the ball out in 2 or 3 seconds, you don't need a stronger offensive line either.
And both of his interceptions this past week were tipped by J.J. Watt.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So you can't really blame Sanchez for either one of those.
Right.
Because, I mean, let's be honest here. If there's no one that has
they
a guy
do
like
count,
J.J. Watt,
and this is
but Houston.
right. They do count, but here's the thing: is that and I agree with Aaron with this, is that Sanchez. Look, Sanchez is better than we give him credit for, and this is what Scott was saying when we started this conversation, is that he rocked within the Jets performance based on the Jets, and then compare that to what he's been.
Everything okay over there, Tony?
I know, because you're in and out there. We can't hear you.
Sanchez point. Get and get the heck out of here. Can you hear me now?
We can. You're doing the robot on the screen, but we can hear you.
All right, I don't know what's on now, but all right. Atlanta, Tampa Bay. I guess my wife probably.
I'm gonna go.
Barber, go.
I think Atlanta wins this game with McGowan's quarterbacking. I got to go with Atlanta. As much as I hate to, I got to go with Atlanta. Katie.
I mean, I'm in agreement there because I think Atlanta wins. I think they get a couple turnovers with the defense.
Yeah,
I think
McCown
gets a sack or two. Against McCown, easily.
Yeah.
I think Desmond Trufant might get his first interception of the year because McCown throws soft enough that even he could catch. Because let's be honest here, Desmond Trufant, great cornerback, can't catch a damn. He has dropped 6 different passes this year, and they're just counting as pass deflections when they really dropped interceptions.
They drop passes. If he was a wide receiver, he'd be out of work.
That's why he plays defense.
That's why he played defense, exactly. That's why he played defense.
Coming out of college, I said his biggest issue is that he can't fucking catch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a pass deflection works too, but I mean, interception is better.
Yeah, but if these picks are on 3rd and 15, and as opposed to, like, a lot of these picks are drop picks are 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15 type plays, and he's just dropping the ball, and I'm like, he still did his job, but come on, man, catch.
Yeah, get that ball. I got you.
I'm picking. I'm picking Tampa second.
You picking Tampa?
And,
I want to hear my reason here.
Mike Evans and Vincent Jackson finally get. We saw Mike Evans getting it done last week. 2 touchdowns, I believe, 100-something yards. I'm just sick and tired right now of this show screwing up something.
Like the Hindenburg.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go on record, and I'm gonna say that Atlanta should win this game, but I think Tampa is gonna pull the upset because McCown, when given time, is a pretty good quarterback. Atlanta does not have a pass rush.
Is he going to be timed by sundown?
They played the Buccaneers, though.
What's that?
Atlanta had a great pass rush when they played the Buccaneers last time, though.
Yeah, because that offensive line is a turnstile. It's not an offensive line.
All right, I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. We'll see Sunday.
Okay.
Right.
Going down the brotherhood
in that game. So.
All right, Carolina, Philadelphia. Greg.
I'm going Philadelphia in this game. I think Sanchez comes out there and play his old AFC Championship form. The form that he used to get to the AFC Championship games 2 years in a row. I think he goes out there and I think he plays well. And I think Carolina's in a hell of a lot of trouble in this game.
I'm with Barber on that one. I think the Eagles are Probably the second best team in the NFC right now, behind Arizona.
In other words, Carolina's about to receive one hell of an ass whooping.
I don't think they're going to get blown out. Don't
No,
get me
I don't
wrong.
think it's gonna be that bad. I really don't. It's gonna be a little closer, but I think Sanchez will play well enough. Long as he plays within the offense, he'll be fine in that game. I think he'll do fine.
I'm expecting like 35-30 kind of game.
You thinking 35-30? See,
Yes.
I'm thinking because Sanchez is in there, I'm thinking closer to like 20. I think like 27-20 in that kind of range.
I don't know, man. Give Sanchez a week with the first team. Let him get on the same page as Macklin.
He might break 30. Well, that's true. I mean, he might break 30.
Cover the deep ball.
Yeah, well, that's very true. That's true.
Safeties.
Yeah, you're right. You might be right on the 35-30. I might have to agree with you on that one. Okay,
All right, Aaron,
your turn.
I'll take this one. I gotta admit, it's gonna be a little bit of a homer pick, right? I'm going a little bit more with my heart, but getting healthy, getting some pressure on Sanchez, doing the things that we're capable of doing, I'm gonna say the Panthers pull one out Monday night. I think we can, and I'm gonna say we're gonna pull it out in the neighborhood of 31-17.
31-17. That's not pulling it out. That's beating their ass.
We just call that
out.
If you said 34-31, I'd be like, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you said 34-17. You said you're going
34-17.
my prediction, fella.
What he means by
pop ass.
I think what he means by pulling it out is.
Hey, you call it what you want.
And that's like all over the face kind of pulling it out.
I know.
Oh, that's messed up. Aaron, that video sent me about the Philadelphia Eagles fans. That guy said he was online shopping for his girlfriend's pearl necklace.
Yes! That's funnier.
Okay, I'm going Philadelphia in a close one, 24-23. That's what I'm saying, and the reason is this: I see a lot of merits to Aaron's argument, but also what I don't see is any reason right now for me to pick Carolina Panthers, because all I've done is pick them, and all they've done right now has let me down on that point. So superstition, whatever you call it, 24-23. I hope that it's 24-23 Panthers, but on the pick'em sheet, I'm going to put Carolina. Last game, New Orleans and the 49ers at home. Greg, go.
I definitely said New Orleans should win the game. It's going to be probably close to about the same score that it was last year, like 26-23 in that kind of range. It's going to be really close. I just, like I said, I think that New Orleans is dealing with a wounded animal here, and Harbaugh is going to have those guys ready to go in that game. They've lost 2 games. They know that they got to catch up in that division as well. So they're under a lot of pressure. Saints are under a lot of pressure as well in this division to keep the lead up and keep things going. So, then the Saints. So I give it to the Saints on this one. I think just the home field advantage, the crowd helps them.
I think Harbaugh is going to have that team either ready to fold or ready to fight.
I think they're going to be ready to fight. I don't think they're going to be ready to fold. I mean, Jim Harbaugh is going to see it.
New Orleans wins big. If they're ready to fight, I see at most a 3-point win for either side.
Yeah,
but
agreed.
New Orleans at home. New Orleans on a little bit of a streak.
Yep.
San Francisco's on a little bit of the opposite kind of streak. It's a west to east 1 o'clock game. I'm not seeing a lot of great situations for San Francisco right now. So unless they have this miracle comeback in the second half, I think New Orleans is the right pick, and I'm gonna say 24-21.
Yeah, like I said, it's definitely. I can't see no more than 3 points in that game.
And Jimmy Graham getting 2 touchdowns, because that's what seems to happen in this kind of game.
Yeah.
All right, we got a surprise from the hospital himself. Joey has just chimed in on our pick'em, and he's picking the Carolina Panthers 24-21. on the road over the Philadelphia Eagles.
You tell him to get better, Joey.
Pulling it out.
Get better, Joey. But we're also not surprised by that damn pick either.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's like the same pick.
I mean, like Homer pick, build a house. I mean, just it's a Homer pick. Straight up.
Joey picks every week too. 24-21.
Nah. Usually he picks this. He usually picks 1913 or.
Oh yeah.
I score.
12-9.
It's gonna be a safety in there.
Okay, I'm picking New Orleans. I don't pick against the Saints at home. That's just my rule. And I think Scott brought up the good point. West to East usually doesn't travel well. All the things are stacked in favor of New Orleans. And I'm sick of trying to forecast every little upset in the world. I already did it with Tampa Bay over Atlanta. Hopefully my audio and my internet is caught up by now.
It's better now. It's better.
Right. Because on paper they look pretty even.
Right. All right. Aaron, last pick, New Orleans or 49ers?
Well, hey, man, somebody's got to be the lone wolf out there, right? Somebody's got to go against the grain. That 49ers team, they are too good of a team for everybody to say that New Orleans is just going to roll over them. I think the odds are in New Orleans.
I want to say that.
I'm going to say New Orleans is going to win in a close game.
Right. Nobody's rolling over.
Yeah, I said at most one of these teams is going to win by 3 points.
Exactly.
But everybody has chosen the Saints, so I'm going out on the limb, and I'm gonna take the 49ers in a close one.
I hope you enjoy it.
Well, I mean, this is one of those moments. In fact, this is like where the football kind of. I hate the term football gods because I think that's just the most insane thing. But look, we know this happens in the NFL is that certain moments just seem to be against, 20. How long can New Orleans keep up the home streak? How angry is Harbaugh? Does he punch somebody in the face if they lose on the way off the field?
Hopefully it's the GM.
I think this, and I'm going to close the show by say this, is that I think Harbaugh would make a good fit in Atlanta. I would hate to see him go there, but I think
I don't think he'll go there.
No, he wouldn't. Jim Harbaugh would be a terrible fit in Atlanta.
Yeah, he wouldn't. I see him in Atlanta. I don't see him in Atlanta at all.
Arthur Blank is very big on harmony between the GM and the coach.
Yeah.
GM work together on everything except for when the players are on the field.
Yeah, so unless he find both Dimitrov and Smith, then Harbaugh won't fit.
And I don't see that happening. Let's be honest here. Who's a GM candidate that you could come in and be like, yeah, they'll do a better job than Thomas Dimitrov right out the gate? I can't think of a single person unless they can somehow pull Eric DaCosta out of the Baltimore Ravens.
Maybe Holmgren?
Mike Holmgren?
No.
Holmgren wants to coach again. Holmgren wants to coach again.
Yeah.
But he's a better coach than he is a GM. Holmgren is a better head coach than he is a GM.
Atlanta wants to have the best coaching combination. They'll bring in Hugh Jackson as the head coach, and they'll bring in Rex Ryan as defense coordinator, and they'll keep Terry Robisky, they'll keep Mike Tice, they'll keep Brian Cox. They'll keep a couple of these guys that are solid.
Sure. See, I'm kind of questionable on Tice myself. Personally, I'm questionable on Tice. But don't get me wrong, y'all can keep him, but y'all might with Keith Smith if you're gonna keep Tice.
With those injuries on that offensive line, Tice has done a great job of getting these guys to look competent for at least a half of a game. For the first half of the games, the Falcons' offensive line looks really good.
Yeah.
What?
I said don't let Tice be offense coordinator. That's all.
No. I'm saying keep him as offensive line coach.
Oh, I know.
Offensive line coach. That's his job.
Oh, I know.
He's Alex Gibbs. Alex Gibbs is a offensive coordinator.
The best offensive line coach in the business.
Exactly.
Yeah, Big Gibbs was fantastic.
He's like 3 steps below, because like Gibbs is a god, but.
Oh no, Gibbs is one of those guys right there. Him and Joe Bugle was the other one that wouldn't have an issue at all coaching my offensive line ever.
And the guy that was
All
in
right, well,
Dallas
let's settle the coaching dispute. Let's settle the coaching dispute next week's show. All
Sounds
right.
good.
Greg, say goodbye to everybody. Tell them how they can get after you.
You contact me at Intense GB on Twitter, Greg Barber, and definitely looking forward to hearing from you and everything. And hopefully we'll be back here with another Saints win, and increase that lead a little bit.
Aaron, thanks for joining us and filling in this week. Tell us how they can get after you.
Yep, I'm filling in on the coming in from the practice squad this week, filling in for Joe Riolano. But you can catch me every Tuesday night, hopefully, on the Cat Chronicles podcast, right? The one that we do the night before this. But you can catch me every day at Twitter at Panther Drafter, right? We're going to talk draft. We're going to talk everything Panthers. And just like Greg over there, if you want to talk a little WWE, we can do that too.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. The land of chair shots and elbow drops, baby.
I'm down with that. I like WWE. I'm just not a huge John Cena fan. Just because I get tired of seeing Cena.
Let's go, Cena. Cena sucks.
I'm not one that's going to sit there and scream Cena sucks. I'm just tired of seeing him on my TV winning the title every week.
Tell me about it.
Let someone else have it for once. That's not Brock Lesnar either. Anyway, you can find me at Scott Carasik. Sorry for the tangent there. I'm one of the most ADD people in the world. You can talk to me about pretty much anything except for like ballet, because no one watches that shit. And yeah, about football. I'll talk to you about draft prospects all day long. I love the NFL draft. I love college football. Hit me up. I'll talk to you about WWE, UFC, any of that. I'll be glad to interact with anybody.
Same here. Good stuff.
Word up. This is the Professor from Carolina Cat Chronicles. You can check us out every Tuesday night for the C3 podcast. You can hit us up on Wednesday nights here at 10 o'clock for all this snarky banter on Southbound and Down. And, boy, well, we know one thing. We won't solve one damn problem before it's all over, but we will create 100 more for next week. So be sure to tune back in. Go Panthers. We can get that division back. I'm not so excited.
That was funny.
That's it. I'm not even sending us out with music. I'm going down with the Hindenburg, baby.